The cornerstone of any kitchen makeover is the cabinets. Hi, I'm Tony. In this video, I'm going to show you the basics for installing cabinets to help complete your kitchen remodel. I'll cover marking the layout, hanging wall cabinets, tips for setting base cabinets, and how to finish the job. In a typical kitchen, you'll need to measure all the walls, doors, and windows. Be sure to measure to the outside of the moldings. Locate the position of windows and doors on the wall. Also, measure from the floor to the windows, height of the windows, and top of the windows to the ceiling. And make note of where plumbing, gas, and electrical are located. Also measure doorways and hallways to make sure the cabinets will fit as you carry them through your house. If you have old cabinets to remove, plan removal accordingly. Keep in mind you might need to repair your walls and floors prior to installing new cabinets. A common question regarding planning is whether to install the flooring up to the cabinets or run it underneath. Floating vinyl, laminate, and even tile floors are generally installed after the cabinets are in place. When this flooring expands and contracts, it might buckle if installed underneath the cabinets. Solid hardwood floors are usually run underneath the cabinets, so they would be installed before the cabinets are in place. Our layout will have base cabinets along both walls and upper cabinets on the back wall. Marking reference lines on the wall will help line up the cabinets to make the installation easier. We'll mark a horizontal reference line for the bottom of the wall cabinets and another horizontal reference line for the top of the base cabinets. The tops of the base cabinets should be even with each other, but it's common for the floor to have low and high spots. So it's best to use the highest spot on the floor as a starting point of reference and add shims to the low spots to make the cabinets even. To mark a guideline, use a level to find the highest point on the floor. Then mark 34.5 inches on the wall. That's the height of the base cabinets. I'm using a laser level and straight edge to extend the line along the cabinet layout. Now, make another mark 54 inches from the floor on the wall. This will be the bottom of the wall cabinets. We'll only have wall cabinets on the back wall, so that's where I'll mark the top guideline. An important consideration is the thickness of a floating floor. A thicker floor means there's less space for your appliances to fit under the countertops. You can address this by raising the base cabinets up just above the flooring thickness with wooden strips. For this layout, the corner wall cabinet will line up with the corner base cabinet. I've temporarily set the base cabinet in place, making sure it's level with blocking and shims. Then I'll use a level to extend a plumb line up the wall. At the wall, I'll account for the face frame reveal to mark the vertical line. It's about a 1/4 inch difference. Then I'll extend that vertical line on the wall. Next, use a stud finder to locate and mark the center of the studs within the layout. Before installing the cabinets, number each cabinet and its doors and drawers with painter's tape. Then carefully remove the doors and drawers so they don't get scratched. Also remove any hardware and accessories that might get in the way. Installing upper cabinets before base cabinets is typically easiest. We'll start with the cabinet in the corner. To help support the wall cabinets during installation, attach a straight 1x4 ledger to the wall along the reference line. To mount to the studs, transfer their wall location to the back of the cabinet. Next, drill holes through the cabinet back about 2.5 inches from the top and bottom. You might have a space between the cabinet and the wall. Before installing the cabinet, attach a fill strip. The fill strip isn't going to fit directly against the wall, so we don't need to scribe it. Later I'll have a tip on how to cover the small gap. To attach the fill strip, mark the screw holes with a punch to help steady the drill bit. Then clamp the fill strip to the frame. Drill pilot holes through the frame and secure with screws. Also start the mounting screws in the cabinet back. Set the cabinet on the ledger, lined up with the vertical starting line, and partially drive in the mounting screws. Double check the cabinet for plumb and level. Use shims along any gaps at the back if needed, and cut the excess with a knife.
The next cabinet will sit in front of an outlet.
I'll use a level to mark the top of the cabinet. Now I can use that line and the side of the first cabinet to transfer the outlet location to the back of our cabinet. We need to account for the 1/4 inch face frame reveal. I'll cut the hole with an oscillating tool. Then mark the stud locations on the cabinet and drill the pilot holes for the cabinet mounting screws. Clamps underneath can help support the cabinet during installation. Secure the cabinet to the studs, but don't drive the screws all the way in yet. Leaving the screws a little loose will allow for small adjustments. To keep the face frames even, use cabinet clamps. The face adjustment makes the cabinet faces even in front. Also check that the tops are even. Next, drill pilot holes through the clamp guides. Now swing the guide open to drive trim screws through the frame. Here's a tip, a little wax on the screws can make them drive in easier. Now you can remove the clamps. Again, fill gaps at the back with shims. Now tighten all the mounting screws. Electrical boxes will need a box extender to fill the space between the cabinet back and the outlet box. These extenders also provide mounting holes for the outlet. Here's a tip to keep the tops lined up. Clamp a straight board to the upper face frame and use it as a guide when setting the next cabinet. Our third upper cabinet will be a taller 36-inch height, so I can support it on the ledger board. Partially drive cabinet screws to the back of the cabinets into the studs. Keep the faces even with the cabinet clamps and secure the faces together. Then finish driving in the cabinet screws. That looks good, so now I'm going to remove the ledger board.
Before I install the fridge side panel and upper cabinet, I'm going to install the base cabinets along this wall. That'll help keep everything lined up. For installing our base cabinets, I'll start with our corner cabinet first. As you can see, it's well below our reference line, but we can fix that with shims and blocking underneath.
With the cabinet on its back, I'll attach wood strips with brad nails on the bottom side of the cabinet. I'll also drill the pilot holes through the back. Now I'll position the cabinet and check that it's plumb and level in all directions. Shims at the back can help. At the floor, add a little glue for the shims and shim to the height of the reference line. Then tack the shims at the top with brad nails. Now secure the cabinet to the wall with mounting screws.
The stove will sit next to the corner cabinet, so I'll leave a space. I've cut a 2x4 the width of the stove, plus the reveal of the face frames. I'll set that on the floor for now.
The subfloor is low here, so I'll nail wood strips to the bottom of the cabinet before I set it in place. This will make it easier to shim to the reference line. For the 2x4 spacer, I'll secure it in between the cabinets with screws. This will help keep the cabinets in position when the countertop is installed.
These spacers are just temporary and will be removed after the countertops are installed. Next, I'll install the fridge side panel.
Start by drilling pilot holes in the adjacent cabinet frames. To account for the 1/4 inch face frame reveal, I'll add a piece of scribe bowling to the back of the cabinet at the wall. Now clamp the panel in place, flush with the front edge of the base cabinet. Shim the bottom to make the tops even, then drive screws in to secure it.
Next, we'll install the fridge cabinet.
To start, I'm going to install temporary ledger boards to support the cabinet during installation. I'll measure down the height of the cabinet, that's 18 inches. And then I'll mark a level line around the space. Now I'll hold a ledger to the fridge panel, I'll clamp it at the front and use a screw in the back. I'll attach a ledger to the other side too. This cabinet sits tight to the wall, so there's no need for a fill strip. Then I'll secure the cabinet with screws through the face frame and mounting screws through the back. With the upper cabinets in place, you can remove the ledger boards and fill the screw holes with spackling.
Next to our corner cabinet will be a dishwasher. I've already cut some spacers to width, and then after that, we're gonna have our sink base. We have utilities coming out of the wall, so we'll have to transfer those to the back of the cabinet. I've marked where the cabinet sits against the wall, and I'll use these layout lines to transfer the utility locations to the cabinet. For the plumbing, I'll drill a pilot hole through the back. Then from inside the cabinet, I'll use a hole saw to cut out the holes. This will prevent visible tear out inside. I'll cut the dishwasher holes with the hole saw too. I can cut the hole for the outlet with an oscillating tool. Then I set the sink base in place and shim as needed. Remember to check for plumb and level. Tack a shim at the back corners if needed. Now secure it to the studs. For the dishwasher 2x4 spacer, toe screw from outside the cabinet in case the sink is in the way later, making it difficult to remove the screw. We'll install the rest of the cabinet bases like we did the others. Line up the tops, use shims if needed, clamp the faces and secure with screws. Then drive in cabinet screws through the backs. Tomorrow we'll install the doors. Follow the tape labels to match the doors and drawers to the correct cabinets. Also follow your cabinet manufacturer's directions for aligning the doors, also for attaching the drawers, and aligning the drawer fronts.
Next, we're going to attach the handles. Many guides are available to make sure the hardware lines up correctly, and most work for knobs and handles.
We're going to use this jig. It has a depth adjustment and the guides align with the holes of the handle. I've applied painter's tape to all the doors and drawers to help protect the finish. For drawers, mark the center on top. Then align the jig on the mark. Our handle will be centered on this panel. Holding the jig, carefully drill through the guide holes. Remove the tape and secure the handle with screws. For doors, we set the edge guide to position the top screw hole about 3 inches from the top edge and centered within the stile. Then simply drill those holes and secured with screws. Next, cut the excess shims with an oscillating tool after the glue has had time to dry.
This room will have a floating floor. I'm going to attach the toe kick before the flooring is installed.
To attach the toe kick, cut it to length and width if needed. Secure it to the cabinets with adhesive and brad nails. When the flooring is in place, it'll have a small expansion gap next to the cabinets. You can cover this gap with shoe molding.
The gap above our cabinets will be covered with crown molding.
For shaker style cabinets like these, I'll attach a nailing block above the cabinets with a little bit of reveal. This provides a surface to secure the crown molding. Secure the nailing block from inside the cabinet with screws. Next, cut the crown molding to fit. Check out our video, How to Cut and Install Crown Molding, for extra info. Now attach the crown molding with finish nails. Now back to the gaps at the fill strips along the walls. Rather than try and scribe the fill strip to fit, a simple piece of scribe molding will cover the gap. Install it using pin nails. And now you'll have a finished look that doesn't require scribing.
These cabinets look great. Planning, prepping, and installing your cabinets correctly may seem like a big task, but with a little patience, you can do it. Plus, it'll help make the next steps, installing countertops and appliances, easier, and help create a functional, attractive kitchen that will last for years to come. Thanks for watching. Remember to like the video, click that subscribe button, and let us know in the comments what other types of how-to projects you'd like to see from Lowe's.